All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is episode 16 of the Samurai Brothers podcast. And so when you're hearing that name today, you might be wondering why it might seem a little bit different, but that's because we've got big news. Matthew and I have been talking about this, and we're really excited about the direction that we're going. So, Matthew, do you want to explain to us our goals, or what we're planning on doing for the future?
Well, so in order to appeal to a wider audience and just to fulfill our general desires on what to cover, we decided to go a little bit broader with the podcast. We are not just going to do wrestling. We're going to do stuff that is either Japanese or combat sports related. So basically stuff that shows the whole desire of that,
or our interests.
Yeah, basically the stuff that expresses the theme Samurai Brothers, the samurai spirit. So in that regards, we're going to expand in combat sports, anime, and just stuff that's general Japanese related, because and I think that we were raised up enough to where the Japanese lineage was just ingrained in us to where we want to be able to express that to kind of a wider audience in that regard. So we talked about doing that before we launched, and then initially when we were going over it, we were going to do that. Then we switched to wrestling exclusively, and then we decided to expand broadly. This has been a constantly evolving show, to put it is the best way to put it. So we're gonna try this, and most likely, I think we're gonna hit a wider audience doing it this way.
So we are excited.
We're still gonna cover wrestling because that's in the end our sport. We did that for over a decade of our respective lives, and that's always gonna be a part of us. That's part of our DNA.
Yep, it's part of our DNA, part of our lineage, but even expanding on our lineage, with our Japanese side of the family, and just, the fact that we lived in Japan and gone to Japanese school, and we've done all sorts of stuff. So yes, so hopefully you as our audience will be following us through this journey of just talking about, the experiences and then our interests regarding Japanese culture, Japanese food, language, everything, and then our love for sports, combat sports, more to say. So anyway, Matthew, so episode 16 of the Samurai Brothers podcast today. So as I mentioned before, today we're going to be looking at quite a few things. So first thing is, as we had discussed about last week, the Final X Stillwater determined the 15 main members of the USA Wrestling World Team. And then the remaining members, aside from one weight class, was decided last Wednesday at Final X New York. And the reason why it's only 14 weight classes instead of 15 was because one of the members was injured. So it looks like they are going to have a special wrestle-off later on. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was as people might be able to see in the screen share, is that the All Japan Kanto tournament. So the Kanto wrestling tournament took place a couple of weekends ago. So kind of wanted to cover that. We've talked about some of the schools, the main powerhouses. We've noticed that a lot of these powerhouse schools will be in the Kanto area, which covers Tokyo and then places like Yokohama and things like that. So, and then we've seen that, just kind of want to then after that give a shout out to Shohei Ohtani, and seeing that he's contributed a bit to helping the Los Angeles Angels get back on track. And then lastly, the thing that you and I have been really excited to read about and see is getting into some manga and anime stuff is going to be the latest chapter of the epic manga series One Piece. And so I think we're going to be pretty excited to talk about that today, just seeing how things are going with the current arc and then what is in the future for One Piece. So great to have you here today, Matthew, as always, with your insightful commentary. So why don't we get into Final X New York for the USA Wrestling Championship team. So just going into this, and let me make sure that the screen... So 14 weight classes have been decided, and looks like Burroughs was taken... as the headline is saying here, Burroughs was taken to 3 matches. I think last week we both predicted that he was going to take it in 2. So, you know, Marsteller really took it to Burroughs. And so, you know, you can tell how intense these things are going to get, you know, when it's really trying to determine who is going to be, you know, the representative for the United States at the World Championships. So let's get into it then. So hoping that you can see it. If not, let me know. But so I'm just going to read through it. And so let's get down to the freestyle summary. I think, is this going? Oh, here we go. Okay. So in order. So we'll just go in order here. So men's freestyle. So Matthew, I think we were right on the dot with this one, which was 65 kilo men's freestyle. It was Yanni Giacomalis, who won 2-0 against Evan Henderson. And obviously, I think we both predicted that this was going to only go 2 matches. So do you want me to zoom in a bit? Will that help?
Yeah, I can't see that first score. 11-9. Okay, so that first one was close.
Yeah, the first one was close. It was 11-9. Usually it's the other way.
It was high scoring too.
Yeah, so they were really taking it to each other. I'm kind of curious to see what the actual box score was.
And then Giacomalis came back with a vengeance in the second bout.
Yeah, really, he put it away. Put it away 14-4, and he finished it within 48 seconds of the second period. So then we had Kyle Dake. So this was not a surprise that he took, you know, both matches. Although it looks like it was very close. Obviously, he won 4-2, and then he won 2-1. So I think probably more of that. Both wrestlers were playing some good defense, but I have to imagine that how Nolf was scoring in that second match probably was a either push out or what's that? Passivity.
Probably.
So, but then it was the big match of the night, which was Burroughs versus Marsteller. And so Marsteller looks, I have to imagine, so, you know, this 2-2, I got to imagine Marsteller probably scored last, but probably going to the box scores would probably be a good idea here. So let me go to the flow really quick to see what they had. Let me see here. Can I find Final X in here? Here we go. Final X. Results. New York. So I'm going to go ahead and...
This way you can also check Giacomalis and Burroughs.
Right. How that match went. So here we go. This was Giacomalis and Henderson. So looks like this was a 1. Doesn't say what the actual score was here. But I gotta imagine. It would help if. Just an FYI to our viewers. So we're trying this on Discord, and so Discord seems to pause the screen, so you might not be able to see it every time I'm clicking on the screen. But Matt, it looks like here. Okay, so this is not working. Can you see this at all? Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. So I gotta imagine this first one at 225 is a push out, and I think that's with remaining time. Then Giacomo scored a takedown, and looks like Henderson scored a takedown, and since it's 1 second later, that means it's a gut wrench. And then Giacomolis got I guess this was a push out, and then he was verbally warned at the end of the period. So it's 4-4, and Henderson has the advantage going into the second period. But then it looks like there's some big trade-offs. Henderson, draws first blood. So now it's 6-4 in his favor. But then Yanni scores a takedown, and then he scores got to be a gut wrench here. So that's, so now it's the score is now 8-6 in Yanni's favor. Ooh, boy, this looks very interesting. Okay, Henderson gets a takedown. Then it looks like he scores a push out, and Yanni scores a push out. But then somehow, I have to imagine a 1 and a 1, both on 2 seconds. I'm wondering if Henderson was trying to flee. That's got to be what happened. He had to have been trying to flee the mat, which is why they would give Yanni an extra point with 2 seconds left in the match. So he takes that first bout 11-9. So
Isn't
that was the real.
Freestyle a lot more punishing when it comes to fleeing the mat?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's a little bit, because obviously you don't get push out point in folk style, but in freestyle Greco, it's like they want activity.
Right.
So it's like if you run, then it's like they're not going to be patient with you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Which so I mean, one thing I do know in collegiate style, if you're getting pushed out and you're not making an attempt to get back in, they automatically will call you for stalling. So, if the they really try to push, staying in the mat if you're not doing anything to get back on the mat.
Yeah, because the guy who's pushing, it's like even though he may not necessarily get the takedown or shoot for it, it shows he's the more aggressive one and he's trying to do something with it. Well,
especially if the offensive wrestler is taking a shot and pushing him out, then he's really showing offense, and the other guy is not doing anything to stay on. So, although I'm hearing a rumor, Matthew, that collegiate wrestling may eventually adopt the push-out rule.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
That would really, can you imagine how that would be? I'm sure you'd see a lot more scoring, and then people would really have to make an effort to stay in. I mean, that would be something if the NCAA were to adopt the push-out.
That would be interesting. That would definitely make things. Well, folk style, you kind of have to be active as it is, but yeah, do a push out, adapt the push out rule.
Yeah. So let's see here. Here's the Dake versus Nolf. So Nolf was warned for passivity. He was put on the shot clock with 1:20 left, and then he did not score, so Dake was awarded the point. Dake was verbally warned at 22 seconds left in the first period. Looks like Nolf scored a takedown, about 2:16 left in the second period. Dake came back, scored a point. So wow, he scored all his points on push-outs in the first period. But hey, if it works, it's gonna work.
It works. It's gonna work. You gotta do what you gotta do to win.
Well, and you gotta think about it. You can't now.
In my book, unsportsmanlike is illegal.
Right.
What's legal is free game. So it's like, you know, someone could. It's like, you know, it's like people can make the like comment all the time. It's like a push out is cheap or something like that. But you know, I mean, you could, but you know, it's like well, you're a hardcore fan of sumo. I'm a casual fan of sumo. That's how you win those matches.
Right. That's how you win. You win your sumo match by pushing out the guy or making him touch the ground with a part other than the sole of your foot.
Yeah, so
the soles of your feet.
Yeah, so long story short, it's, you know, it's like what's legal is legal. A push out point is legal. So if that's how you win and you go to the worlds, that's how you win and you go to the worlds.
So let's see the second period. So Nolf was...
Watch replay. I'm guessing that's probably for premium members.
Yes, it is. So Nolf was again put on the shot clock. Looks like Dake was able to convince the officials that, you know, he was being the aggressor. So that's how he scored his point, and then they just traded pushouts. So that's how Dake got into the world team. So that's interesting.
Like I said, you gotta do what you gotta do to win.
So I'm kind of interested about. Let's go to. So Burroughs took the first match 4-0. So I don't know if there's really anything to look at there. It's like, hey, it's a 4-0 match. So, but let's look at the box score of the second match, because that's the one that really. So yeah, it looks like there was blood time. So Chance Marsteller actually drew first blood in this match.
Appropriate considering the blood time.
Yeah. And then so this and he scored it quite early because there's 2:27 left in the first period. So he got an early shot in. You know, that's 33 seconds into the match. And then Burroughs was verbally warned. So he got scored on, and then he got verbally warned. But it looks like from here, you know, and then Marsteller was warned. He got put on the shot clock at 2:16 second period. But it looks like that Burroughs just he got the point for the passivity, but then he can only score a push out. So the criteria is what won Marsteller the second match.
Blood time for both guys.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it said? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen. It's gone in and out with blurry, but yeah, I can see that. Okay,
because my screen it says it pauses stuff, so I just want to make sure that, you know, you're at least you're getting it on your side. So
it gets blurry, it blacks out every so often, but
okay. But yeah, like you're oh, hold on a second. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you're right. I missed this. So yeah, blood. Wow, that's quite a blood time for Marsteller, and then blood time. Both wrestlers have blood time.
I forgot. Is there a limit to freestyle blood time? Because
I don't know.
Because I know there's a limit to folk style blood time.
Well, high school you have 5 minutes. They got rid of blood time in collegiate wrestling. So
yeah,
there is no blood time in collegiate wrestling. I mean, unless it's a really bad injury. But, you know, most of the time they're just gonna, like, you know, like if you got like a gash on your head or something, the good trainers are just gonna wrap it up. And I've seen that, you know, quite a few times, and I'm very sure that's how they do it with.
Well, that is the immortal image of Dan Gable standing atop the podium at the Olympics with the mat tape still on his forehead.
Yeah, and then I've seen that too, and then you'll see the saying, you know, beneath, like if you see a picture of that, and then the saying, you know, his saying below that says, "Once you've wrestled, everything else is easy."
Oh yeah, that's
yeah. So that's how that went down, and then you know he took the third match, and then Burroughs took the third match 5-0. So,
well, one thing you have to say for sure is the fact that you know he's not wrong, because once you've gone through the discipline, the mental discipline of wrestling, yeah, everything else in life is easy.
Yeah. So that was it. That's an interesting one. So Burroughs, once again, going to the Worlds. We'll see what happens. Can he, can he add to his resume, you know, as far as championships are concerned? He's a 6-time world champion, which is 1 Olympic gold and then 5 world gold. So we'll see what happens with that.
And as we've said, he's in a very exclusive club with John Smith and was it Adeline Gray?
Yes, they said Adeline Gray.
Who's not going to top that because she's pregnant. So
right. So I think we had predicted Taylor for this one.
Yeah.
Taylor taking it. We'd have to go back and watch I think, if I remember correctly, I think we thought it was going to go 3 matches because of just how interesting it was going to be. But obviously, Taylor turned up the heat in match 2. I think he really wanted to finish it off because 10-0. But let's look at the box score for the first match. See how interesting it got here. So Zahid got a verbal, but then it looks like he turned up the offense, and in turn, Taylor was verbally warned. Then he was put on the shot clock. So looks like Zahid scored the first point on the passivity, and then on top of that, he scored a push out. But then he was put on for passivity because he had already been warned. So that meant that he got put on the shot clock, and Taylor scored on that. Looks like he scored a push out, which meant that he was already in control at that point. And then he just added on to that by getting a takedown with 33 seconds left in the match. So I don't know if maybe that broke Zahid or not. Because then, I don't know what's going on inside someone's head when you lose the first match, close, and then you drop the next match, being dominated in a 10-0 fashion. What do you think about that, Matthew?
Well, it's probably also the fact that David Taylor didn't like having that close of a match. It's like that seems to be the theme of several of these matches, is that the defending guy doesn't like being shown up in a close match. So after that, it's like the defending guy comes back and dominates the challenger, and the challenger's already demoralized because of the fact that they've lost. Now, granted, the Jordan Burroughs one, it's the challenger's like, "Oh, I could pull this off." Then Burroughs is like, "No, you're not."
Right, because in the matches that Burroughs won, it was 4-0 and 5-0, so he never let him score. Right. So, Taylor obviously, he scored a 4-point, so he scored a 4-point throw first, and then just a couple of takedowns. So that's how he put the match away there. So that's interesting. All right, so let's move on to the heavyweight match. So this one, I'm not so I think we had looks like we were wrong. Looks like we picked Giadowski, who had the more experience, but Zilmer takes this one. took it 2-1. So Jadowski's 5-0. So yep. So let's box score for match 2. What do we have for that? So Zomer, verbal warning, shot clock. So Jadowski scores. Then he gets a takedown. So he's leading 3-0 going into the second period. And that meant that Zomer really had to improvise and come back. So scored a takedown. And then I think this looks like he scored a push out. And looking at this 0, I think I'd have to go back and look at this, but I gotta imagine that this means that when he got pushed out, that his corner challenged, because you have a 0 score here, and then you have a 1 score for Zomer. So I guess they had to challenge because he was in a losing position anyway. So that's probably why they issued that challenge. And obviously, if you're in a losing position, you got to go for it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's that one. And then so I'm seeing here, so let's look at this one. The box score for match 3, it was 5-5 was the score. Jadowski, verbal warning. Zomer, verbal warning, then a shot clock at 1:11. So then Jadowski scores. So it's 1-0 going into the second period of the final match for the heavyweights. And so then it got pretty crazy here. Because Jadowski scored 2 takedowns, but then Zomer scored a takedown. And 8 seconds later, so I think that meant that they were still down, because if it's 8 seconds, there's no way that you score 2 takedowns in 8 seconds. So he must have got that gut wrench right before they were going to call him up. So, but he was still losing 5-4, and then he got a push out with 9 seconds left. Can you imagine that? That's
Well, that kind of reminds me of my my league match my senior year. I was trailing.
Yeah, I remember that.
By a takedown, and then the takedown won me the match.
Yeah, I think you were leading. You were behind, then you got ahead. But then I think you got. I remember. I think you got taken down like in the closing seconds of the match, and I think you were still winning. But I remember me and Dad yelling, "It's like that's not a takedown." And, Mom would always be not happy when me and Dad would get very passionate about your matches.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was interesting. So let's just go. I mean, if you want to look at box scores, we can. But so that's how that went. Let's go into the Greco-Roman series. So I think we had picked Hafizov to win. And indeed he did, 2-1. So, that's for that one. 67 Greco, Alejandro Sancho won it, and I think we had kind of had a toss-up on this one. But close match here, 10-9 in the first match. But then it was a little bit more in Sancho's favor, 5-2 in the second match.
Well, when we said a toss-up, we weren't exactly wrong. They were close matches, even though the second one was a tad bit more dominant. And here, I think we said that the other match would go back and forth as well.
Yeah, this one with Kamal Bey and Britton Holmes. Now, this is interesting because 2 pins in a row. So that meant, and that just means, some good throws. That's basically what that is, because especially the last one, pin at 6 minutes.
I forgot how good Army is at wrestling.
Yeah.
Particularly Greco.
Yeah.
And of course, these aren't necessarily the guys who would have wrestled at Army.
Right.
these are not the guys who would have wrestled at West Point. These are the guys who, these are like the enlisted guys who came in probably like straight out of high school or something like that and trained.
So I am noticing that all the freestyle Final X people, the people who accepted their spots, all three of them won. I am noticing that. And then when you get into the Greco, because Kamal Bey won, Alan Vera over Timothy Young, you had a pin at a minute, and then you had a tech fall 9-1.
Didn't we only have one Final X recipient?
Yeah, for Greco, and that was D'Angelo Hancock, and he won his match. Tech fall 8-0 in bout 1, and then decision 8-2 in the second bout. So, the lone Greco Final X.
Still dominant by Greco standards.
Right.
That's only 2 points away from
All right, so let's go into the freestyle, women's freestyle. So I think we were right about this one. Hildebrandt and
she dominated.
Yeah. So
10-0 both matches.
So that one was obviously a no contest there. So we called that one right. I think this one was kind of
Felicity Taylor. This one,
I think we did.
So
I think we might have. Yeah.
I think we have an upset here.
Yeah. Next time, I think what we'll do is let them make sure.
Was Taylor the Final X recipient, or did we have a Final X recipient?
No, there was no Final X for 53.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not surprising for Helen.
Yeah, Helen, not surprising.
Fall.
I think Amit Allure. I think we had called this one for Allure. Because I think they had faced each other, and based on the results, I think we were not wrong.
Tech fall, man. These were some dominant matches for the women at Madison Square Garden.
So let me see if I can find. So there was there was one match. The one match was not held because and I forget her name. So let me see if I can get into where it was at. So they're not showing it, but and I'm forgetting her name, so short memory on this. But basically, she had to pull out because she was injured, so that means that
Helen's the front.
Yeah, so there was an injury in the one women's match that was not held, so that means that they're going to
You mean injury?
Here it is. Yeah, Kayla Miracle. That's right. Here's okay. Miracle receives a delay of Final X series against Rogers for medical reasons, with site and date of series to be determined. So they'll obviously have to.
Remember how when we were previewing it, Helen had faced what's her name in a special wrestle off?
Yes.
So this might have been that similar situation because Helen's been dealing with injuries the past few years.
Right.
So this was possibly that kind of situation.
Well, and I think for them for her to receive a special clearance means that, the doctors know it was legit and everything, for that. So, obviously, this will.
I think maybe the fact that it was Miracle for the game, the delay for the Final X.
Right, because she was the Final X recipient, like it's saying here.
She was the Final X recipient, and she'd accepted it.
Right. Only, like it says here, only a 2021 Senior World Championship medalist or 2020 Olympic medalist who earned an automatic berth can request a delay for medical reasons. The request must be submitted as set forth at least 48 hours prior to the scheduled weigh-in. So that's how she got the clearance. Now, I remember a few years back.
If Rogers had gotten it, then Miracle would have gotten the automatic. Unless they gave it to
Right.
the
Right. If Rogers was hurt, then that, yeah, you're right. They would have automatically given it to Kayla Miracle. So, and I remember a few years back, like so Jaden Cox was he was trying to fight for the Olympic spot against the person who I think was the Final X recipient. And that person ended up missing weight. And that person asked for a delay. And
no.
they did not. Yeah, they did not grant it to him.
Yeah, it's like this is not the same thing. You need to make weight.
Right.
It's not the it's not the same thing. You didn't follow the 24 hours. You didn't say. It's like if you're having troubles with your weight cut medically or something like that, then you need to follow those regulations. You show up not on weight. Tough luck, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting. So, we'll have to see how they do. The World Championships will be in the fall. We'll have to see how it goes. Then obviously, if the couple of these people, something happens to them, then the runner-ups in the Final X will take the top spot and represent at the Worlds. So I know some rankings came out, but we won't have time to get into that today. So, maybe we can talk about that.
One of the projects that I need to work on is I think we talked about trying to figure out what berths are given to what regions.
Right.
Because we're still kind of confused on how the World Championships works. The Olympics, we know how it works. It's X number of spots, which was enough for 16 man brackets in each spot, except for one, which was a 17-man bracket. The World Championships, we're trying to figure out how the heck does this work?
Right, because it can range anywhere from, I don't know, 12 in one weight class to, I think, what was the really big one? 31 or something.
31.
So we're really trying to figure that one out. My guess, it's only a guess, is I'm wondering if there's a just total allocated number of spots at the World Championships, but that would not make any sense at all. At least like, for the NCAAs, they do it based, there's a set number of spots or of bracket. I don't know what would be the best thing to call them.
Let's just call them
berths. Yeah. Bracket berths at the NCAAs, it's 33. And then conferences get, depending on how they did throughout the season, that's where they're going to get their number of spots at the NCAAs. And then you've got, I think they allow up to like 5 at-larges, but, anyway. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think once you find out about that, those World Championship allocations, I mean, as we get closer to it, that'll be interesting to see what happens. So that concludes.
Well, our theory was that it might have been based off of region, but then also that, depending on how someone did, you could get, because there were multiple teams that took full teams. The U.S. took a full team. I think Japan took a full team. Mongolia took full teams in their both freestyles, but no one in Greco. I really do think that part of it is probably based off of like bursts, but there's also like alternate spots. Because remember, for this world, for the Final X, we filled it out for everybody, every weight class. And again, this isn't like the Olympics where there's only X number of spots and not every nation is going to send someone in every weight class. This is everyone getting something for every weight class.
Yeah.
Which last year at the World Championships, we took someone for every weight class. And alternates.
Yeah. So, be interesting. So that concludes Final X New York. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but there will be the Kayla Miracle match.
Are there any major tournaments in between now and...
I'll have to double check. There's probably going to be some stuff here and there. I know that they have they were having the U14 and U16 duals nationals going on. So that's where they get a lot of
duals.
There was duals nationals. Basically, freestyle and Greco. They get literally, when I was looking this up, it takes place in Indiana. And all the states send these a team that whoever qualified for those teams and they go. So it's a very extensive, it's a long tournament, because I was asked if I want to go, but when I looked at the fact that it's a week-long tournament. So I'm hoping maybe if I'm given the opportunity.
Wait, go as a spectator or go as something else?
I was invited to go officiate.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, someone asked me. I wasn't officially invited. There was an official who I'd been working with a few months back, and they asked if I was interested in going, and they gave me the contact for the person who was getting people out of California to go. But when I was looking at the timing and stuff, it was unfortunately not working out. But hey, maybe next year if they ask me again.
I would imagine that you'd have to get X number of officials from each state. Probably.
Oh, I gotta imagine they'd get a lot of officials. I mean, when you're thinking about it, when you're fielding it in two categories. So you're fielding it in two categories, which is U14 and U16, and then you're doing both styles, freestyle and Greco. So it's no wonder it's a week-long event.
That kind of reminds me of I did in my senior year get an invite to back when it was the SCWA, but it's now the Orange County Wrestling Association. Tom Kasparai, the late Tom Kasparai, quite a character, asked me, and he was the association head at the time. He asked me if I wanted to go represent the team. And I think there was some kind... Initially, I was going to commit to it, but I think some conflict of interest came up and I wasn't able to go. But I was going to represent the team at the state dual association duels.
Yeah, I think nowadays
they have, as I recall, they have like an actual qualification tournament. So
the
guys to represent the
right. What happens is now that each association in each USA Wrestling Association within the state will have they set their dates for a qualification tournament for who will go represent at the state duels. And my guess, it'd be interesting to see maybe if I can work it in, so maybe I can do that, next year, because I've got some contacts, and that would be an interesting experience. Because I'm very sure that the state duels they will use that to determine who's going to represent at the U14, U16 national duels.
Like, who goes based off of age?
Well, my guess, because I'm very sure they're doing it, the associations are dueling each other. My guess, and it's only a guess, is that you are picked based on how well you did at the association duels, you individually. So, like, let's say you won all your matches, then you're like the first pick for representing at the nationals.
Depending on the age category.
Again, it's only a guess. So,
and as I recall, I was going to represent in both freestyle and Greco.
Yeah.
I don't know if you go out and you do separate divisions now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I
can't remember how that tournament goes. I just remember that it was I think it was it was either at Villa Park or was it El Dorado or Canyon? Something like that.
Yeah.
This was a decade ago. I was so
anyway,
but based off of how well you do it, you'd either go represent at U20 or U16 or U14.
Let's get into some Japanese wrestling, Matthew. So this is the Kanto regional tournament this would be the all Kanto high school wrestling tournament in Japan. And basically it's all there's, at least in the Japan Wrestling Federation, there's the Kanto region for high school comprises 8 prefectures considered to be metropolitan Tokyo, with a few others that are kind of out there, like bordering Mount Fuji and all that. So anyway,
right, because when we're talking about Kanto, for people who don't know, the Kanto Plain basically goes out to Mount Fuji to Tokyo, and then I guess north and south to mountain ranges, or is there's some kind of cutoff?
Probably I gotta imagine to the Pacific Ocean. So,
but that is the Pacific,
right? So at least
I meant how far south do you go? What's the cutoff? And then
the cutoff would be Shizuoka Prefecture. Shizuoka is then put into the next region. So I know that Shizuoka kind of borders like Kanagawa, Yamanashi.
I didn't realize Kanagawa is considered the southernmost Kanto Prefecture.
Yes, it would be.
Well,
that's correct.
It's kind of confusing because you're talking about like southeast,
or southwest.
South. Yeah, you're talking about southwest, almost directly west.
Right.
At that point. Okay. So here's Fuji, here's roughly Tokyo. So it would kind of go like that, and then what's the northern?
Well, so if you're going up along the coast, you've got Chiba Prefecture, which is where Narita Airport is at. If you go above that, so directly north.
Saitama's in Chiba Prefecture, right?
No, Saitama Prefecture is directly above Tokyo Prefecture.
Next to Chiba?
Chiba's to the east, and you got Saitama to the north, and then kind of what's fitting in between.
Right. Because Tokyo is like within Tokyo Prefecture is within Tokyo Bay, so you've got the bay here. So directly to the east, kind of like going over that other.
The bridge.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've got that other peninsula.
Right. The peninsula encompasses Chiba Prefecture.
Okay, and then directly north, that's Saitama.
No, Chiba and Saitama are not connected. So Saitama is a bit more northwest.
So, like here?
Yeah, because I think what fits, if my geography memory serves me correct, I think what fits above kind of Chiba and um, what fits kind of between Chiba and Saitama, north of Tokyo, towards the east is going to be, you're going to have like Tochigi Prefecture, and you're going to have like Ibaraki Prefecture.
Okay, so you've got like Tochigi, Ibaraki, Chiba, Saitama.
Yeah. And then the ones that are more to the west towards
Chiba,
Fuji.
Of course, and Chiba was the one that got directly hit by the tsunami, right?
The tsunami was actually Fukushima,
which is
more north.
Is it directly connecting Chiba, or is it a prefecture or two above Chiba?
I think it's a prefecture 2 or above.
Yeah, it's I think, yeah, that's kind of like something I wanted to kind of emphasize, is the fact that, like I was talking about, there's that peninsula that I think Chiba inhabits, right?
Mm-hmm.
That shielded Tokyo from a direct hit from the tsunami, and also shielded our home of Yokosuka from the tsunami, the Muna Peninsula. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so for doesn't want to zoom in. Yeah, so I was Chiba. Okay, yeah. So you got
so that's Chiba.
Right, you got Chiba. So yeah, actually, yeah, Chiba and Saitama are they are the two bordering
Tokyo
prefectures. Then above them is Ibaraki, Tochigi, and Gunma. And then to the west of Tokyo is Yamanashi, which on this map it's considered to be another region, but at least in the high school, in the Japan Wrestling Federation, it's considered Kanto. So Yamanashi is considered Kanto. So it's the 8 prefectures. So that's how that works. So just a real quick look at how the All Japan Kanto tournament went. And to kind of put it in perspective, which this is not surprising, it's actually here in this thing called the Gakko Taiko Sen, which was basically, they do not duel at the Kanto tournament. And unlike most Kanto tournaments in Japan that are held in other varying sports, this particular Kanto tournament does not qualify athletes for the inter-high tournament. A lot of other sports will use their Kanto high school tournaments to qualify for the inter-high, which is the Japanese All Japan High School Nationals.
Which I think is how it should be done, but...
Right. They do use another all Kanto tournament that takes place in February as a qualifier for the nationals that takes place in March. So, as I've explained before, they have 2 national tournaments when it comes to boys freestyle and duels. But in this case, they don't actually have dual competition. They score points for the teams based on their finishes, and it's only the finishes. So, unlike in the U.S., where tournaments, your match outcome can also contribute points to your team. So in this case, it's only your finish that contributes points to the team. So as you know,
Japan
so the
has
winner
very inconsistent scoring criteria when it comes to the various tournaments, because in the U.S. it's the finish and the round. That's how the team scoring is determined.
Yeah, it is. So in this case, it's just what place you get determines how many points your team is going to get. So looking at this, I'll actually go to I think this is the team score here. So the team score is here. And let me zoom in a bit here. So the winner of this, which would not be surprising because they placed in all 8 weight classes, was Nippon Sports Science Kashiwa High School, which math, as I've noted before, is headed by the former coach of another powerhouse school, which was Kasumi Gauda. But now this,
for all intents and purposes, it's the modern Kasumi Gauda.
It is now the modern Kasumi Gauda because it's headed by Osawa, this coach, who I'd really like to know how he's been able to do it. But anyway, so they ended up winning 5 weight classes and still taking second and then third in the other. So all the wrestlers placed not any lower than third. So
I do have a question. Are you allowed to transfer in Japanese high school, or is it you go there and that's it?
Normally, it's whatever school you're going to, you're going to finish out of, unless you're going to drop out to a lower level school. That's so. Like when I was going to high school, I know that there were some people who did end up dropping out. I don't know where they went. But and I don't know if you have to actually take the entrance exam again or not, because remember,
Nichifuji is high, so some people just couldn't cut it at Nichifuji.
Right, they wouldn't be able to cut it. Which, speaking of Nichifuji, my alma mater, they did get one guy to place. He took 4th. If you look at line number 39, that one is, and he placed 4th at 65 kilos. So we did have one guy. He did go against the person who took 2nd, I think, and then he was able to get into the repage. So, but yeah, it looks like the former powerhouse Kasumi Gauda did end up taking 7th. But overall, the score, I mean, you look at the score, Kashiwa High School had 53 points, and then the next highest team only had 20, which was Hanasaki Tokuharu from Saitama. And then after that, 3rd place was Jiyugaoka High School from Tokyo with 19 points. So, this Kashiwa team is going to be dominant for quite a long time, as long as this coach Osawa is heading that team.
Well, I guess the question there is, what's the retirement age for
I don't know. And, because this is a private university, I think they can probably operate out of the normal boundaries.
Oh, so they could just employ him until he chooses to.
I have no idea when he's going
so
to.
that would have, well, like Nichifuji, how old was Harasho when he chose to retire?
Harasho retired at 65, the normal retirement age.
Yeah, but Nichifuji's a private school, right?
It is a private school, yes.
So he could have gone longer if he had chosen to, but he just chose to cash out.
Well, I think probably in their case, they probably do have, because my homeroom teacher, Matsuji, also retired at 65. So I think in their case, it's probably worked in their contracts.
So even though they're a private school, they still go by the national.
I think so.
The graduation age.
Yeah, I think so. So, yeah.
But not every private high school in Japan has to go by that.
Yeah, I think it depends on the organization. I really think it does.
The organization, as in the prefecture?
No, not the prefecture. The school.
So the school could choose to go by the national graduation age. They could choose to not go by the graduation age.
You mean the retirement?
The retirement age. I meant.
Yeah.
And
this probably requires a bit more research. I think it does.
Well, I guess another question would be, how old's the guy now?
But I think he quote unquote retired from Custom Yagata. I think they let him go when he turned 60.
And that's based off.
That has to have been probably. It's been a good 5 to 6 years since then.
So he's 65, 66.
Yes, if my calculations are correct.
Yeah, it's funny because people it's like a lot of people are mesmerized by like Japan and stuff like that, but it's just like they have some strict stuff going here. It's like, well,
they do.
Yeah, that's because of the concept of a mandatory retirement age. You don't have that here in the U.S. There's been lawsuits forcing people to not, forcing companies to drop their mandatory retirement ages. Like, let's throw this out here. Nick Saban is in his 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Pete Carroll is in his 70s. These guys are old by these standards. And they're still going and they're still coaching. So, and if you went by this standard, they would have been gone long ago. So,
that's right.
An interesting thing I heard in Okinawa, they don't really have a retirement age per se.
Well, now, see, if you're running your own business, that's
yeah.
another thing in Japan. Like, I remember Dad and I when I was staying with them in Sasebo, and they had like a local channel where they'd have these local news media people. They'd kind of go out throughout the Sasebo area, and they'd kind of visit with some of these businesses. And that was an old lady that was running like a cafeteria in her 90s. And still going strong. Now, I don't know about now because of how long, it's quite a few years ago, so not sure if she's still around. But hey, man, there are certain industries and stuff where the mandatory retirement age is not a factor. If you're in public service, though, it will be. In public service, I believe 60 is the mandatory retirement age.
Well, and of course we're talking about the nation that we're not talking about the nation of anime and stuff like that we're going to talk about later. But people kind of have to understand the cultural.
Yeah, I love hearing of a lot of people who aspire to go to Japan and stuff, and they think they're going to make it big. And it's good to aspire. It's just not going to be what you.
It's hard to break into certain industries.
It's not what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
So just an FYI. But anyway,
if we're going to throw one example out there, Bob Sapp. Bob Sapp at his prime was this big old celebrity, but he had like a certain personality in which he was able to. It just
doesn't translate any. I don't hear much about him unless you're keeping up with him.
Yeah, no. Well,
but in his case,
I'm just saying in his prime, both competitively and when it comes to being a celebrity, a Genojin in Japan, he just had all those factors that went in his favor. Speaking of which, something very interesting. I know I'm getting off on tangent here. Someone actually made stats in the current like UFC game customization. They create a Bob Sapp. It looks like Bob Sapp. He's this big behemoth. He's a heavyweight. He's limited to striking.
Can you imagine? I'll tell you what. Yeah, because Dana White would not allow Bob Sapp
Bob
anywhere
Sapp
near.
wouldn't have been able to make weight.
Oh well, yeah, he wouldn't have been. But now, if you look at
over 300 pounds.
Well, if you look at his recent, I watched one of his recent matches. He's a jobber now. He goes out there. He takes the paycheck. It's like the match I saw. He lasted maybe 30 seconds. He goes out there. Once you clip him and he goes down, he's not going to do anything. You know, just a far removed from the beast persona that he developed, early on. Not sure what he's doing right now, but it is what it is. Anyway, he
went on the Ariel Helwani podcast, and I think Ariel, who is very patient with a lot of people, ended up throwing him off the show because he was just like, I need you to, because he was kind of being like overly goofy, and he's like Bob, I need to talk to you like honestly. We can't keep having this conversation and he was still going at his prime, the WWE actually tried to sign him.
Remember when he fought Akebono the first time, and then when he KO'd Akebono, and then he was trying to pick a fight with Mike Tyson.
Tyson, you're next. The problem with that fight was Tyson's he was banned from his criminal record kept him from going to Japan. I think they were trying to compromise and have a fight in Hawaii, but it never got done.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into Ohtani, Shohei Ohtani.
Ohtani.
So just a real quick update.
I do have a question. Is the O in Ohtani, is that kanji the king? Or
no.
Okay.
It's the kanji for big, so it's extended.
Okay.
That's why they spell his name out OH.
Okay.
Although if you put OH on its own, that's how they spell O Sadaharu, if you remember him. O Sadaharu, he was the manager for the Hawks when they were the Fukuoka Daiei Hawks. Remember that?
Okay.
So anyway, you got O Sadaharu, who ran the Fukuoka Daiei Hawks, if you remember that, and he won a title.
I miss them being the Daiei Hawks because whenever whenever they were doing well, Daiei would like
have the sale.
Yeah, have the sale.
Well, actually, you know what? It was only that 1 year that they won. They didn't win again.
You know what's
they did not.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what's really crazy? I actually looked up the two Daieis that we frequented, the Atsugi and Yokosuka ones. They're no longer Daieis. Those buildings are something else.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. The Ayase one is now a Don Quixote, and I don't know exactly what the Yokosuka one is, but it's not a Daie anymore.
Yeah, I think it's called. I think it is called something else.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Daie is a supermarket in Japan.
Well, especially in Yokosuka, it was a big shopping center.
It was more. Well, it was. They did two things. They did supermarkets and they did malls. They're basic.
Yeah, that was a mall.
Yeah, their basic brick and mortar stores are supermarkets, but the Ayase and the Yokosuka ones were malls. The Yokosuka one being like what, 5 stories or something?
It was a 5 or 6. It was a 5 or 6 story complex.
5 or 6 story complex with 2 stories of parking.
Well, and then it had shopping for like appliances and stuff. It had a movie theater, food court, movie theater, grocery shopping, household goods shopping, clothes and everything.
Yeah, it was a traditional.
I mean, the building is still there. The
It was
building is still there, but it's no longer under Daiei management because
Daiei went into bankruptcy, right?
Yes, they went into bankruptcy.
Yeah, so they're still around, but I think they had to liquefy a bunch of assets, right?
Right, and one of those assets was the Hawks baseball team. So,
maybe you should explain
how Nippon Professional Baseball works.
Yeah, well,
I mean, basically, it's Nippon Professional Baseball. It's a bunch of companies that own the baseball teams, and I think a lot of times the companies have to.
Which is similar to American baseball, but that's not. The norm in Japan is the companies are owned by that.
Yeah, the companies own it, and the companies subsidize the teams if the teams are taking a loss. Right. Over here, these professional teams are, for the most part, privately owned, or they're owned by the holding companies, but they don't. See over here.
Wait a minute. Is what's it called? Are the Mariners still owned by Nintendo?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, one example we'll throw out is that the Angels used to belong to Disney. To Disney. They now
right, they're owned by Art Moreno.
Yeah, Art Moreno, who is a advertising magnate. I think that's still how he makes most of his money, right?
Right. Yeah, that's still his thing. But see, the difference between professional sports teams over here versus teams over in Japan, well, specifically Nippon Professional Baseball, is that all the teams in Nippon Professional Baseball are going to have the company's name on there, which is why I think the Hawks are owned by a
SoftBank.
Yeah, SoftBank. Yeah, they're owned by SoftBank. So they're the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. I think when we were there, I know that the only team in NPB that did not use the company name was the Yokohama Bay Stars.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember them. Who are they owned by?
Good question. The
Bay Stars, yeah. It's like, yeah. Otherwise, everyone else, the Yomiuri Giants.
I think the Yomiuri Giants. So the Bay Stars are owned by DNA, which I believe is an internet company.
Looks like they now go by the.
Yeah. Now they go by the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars, but they definitely were not owned by DNA before they changed the name.
It's like we were talking about. The ownership goes on a regular or ownership changes go on a regular basis.
Right.
So I guess, and I was reading somewhere that the companies basically write the subsidized expenses off as advertising, essentially.
I think so.
Well, it makes sense. You have your name on the team. You might as well say, that's advertising. We're going to write that off as an expense.
Yeah.
Well, that's like,
anyway.
It used to be the Staples Center. Now it's the crypto.com center. That just sounds so weird.
It's a memory, I remember going to Staples Center when it was the Staples Center. I think I'm probably gonna, keep calling it Staples Center.
I remember back when we used to go to something called the Arrowhead Pond that is now the Honda Center.
Oh yeah, it used to be called Arrowhead Pond.
I still subconsciously think of it as the Arrowhead Pond.
Yeah, I don't have an issue remembering it as the Honda Center. I mean,
it's not the worst.
It is what it is.
It's not the worst name out there. The StubHub.
Versus Crypto.com. Yeah, I think that's not the worst name. Honda Center. Yeah, that's pretty easy to remember. Crypto.com. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but hey, That's the company who has that now. Anyway, so Matthew, if you remember, well, I don't know if you've been following much, but I mean, I was hearing it in the news. The Angels went on a 14-game losing streak, and which ended up with them sacking manager Joe Madden. So they have an interim coach, but looks like when I'm looking at looks like
manager,
right? But it does look like Ohtani did contribute to helping the team, get some, get their emotion back, and but I'm always amazed by Ohtani. In fact, I got to I think it was last year. I had an opportunity to go watch him. I was invited to go watch a game that he was playing in. He was playing position for that game, and he actually hit a home run. So I was able to record it and get it on my phone and stuff, and that was really exciting.
I've always thought of Ohtani as being this very rare guy because he's a pitcher in the American League, which does designated hitters.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but he can play position too, which is another thing. And when if you look at, I don't remember, but I'll look it up on Wikipedia here real quick. Let's see here, Shohei Ohtani. So let's see here.
I was refreshing myself recently about the post system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that post system.
You want to educate people on the post system?
The posting system was developed by NPB to prevent Japanese players from getting signed by the MLB without some kind of monetary compensation to Nippon Professional Baseball, because obviously the players want to go right while they're still under contract. Obviously, the players want to go to, all the Japanese players, they want to go to the MLB because, the MLB is the big leagues. So basically what that means is that they're, the teams are, well, one, are agreeing to buy out the contract, but two, they're paying a fee just to be able to negotiate with the prospective player that they want to recruit to the MLB. And even if an MLB team pays a posting fee, that doesn't necessarily mean that player is going to sign on with them. That just means that they entered into negotiations. Whether or not they succeed in negotiating, they still got to pay that posting fee. And it ends up being kind of a bidding war. So you could have some teams, if they really want the Japanese player, they'll really put in the money. I don't remember who. There was one player. There was quite a few teams that ended up being in a 7-digit bidding war, I think. I don't know if it was Yu Darvish or someone else.
What happened to Yu Darvish? He was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, he was. I think it was the Rangers? I think he played for the Texas Rangers.
I thought it was the Dodgers.
I think he was with the Dodgers, but I also think he was with the Texas Rangers too.
Okay. Yeah, it's like everyone was white hot on this guy, and then he comes over here and he doesn't really do much.
Well, because I think he pitched in the World Series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he was on the Dodgers team that won the World Series.
He didn't have like this stellar career that like Ichiro or Matsui or even Ohtani.
Well, Ohtani is a bit of a rarity. I'm trying to find out which
position he plays.
Yeah, position he plays.
Is his upper stats up there? I feel like it's going to be up there.
I think it's going to be in his lower stats here.
Okay.
Pitching, endorsements. Oh, he's got quite a bit of endorsements. Playing style.
For those of you who don't know, Darvish was half Pakistani, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Half Pakistani, half Japanese, and yeah, he posted, and then he comes over here and he, like we said, he was in the Dodgers team, but
Okay, so Ohtani will at times play in the outfield.
does it say what position in the outfield?
Not doesn't say. It looks like he plays any of the positions in the outfield.
So he's flexible.
But yeah, he's pretty flexible. But I think there was I saw a game where he I think in one of the games this weekend he got to 101 miles. You know, so
he set records.
He can play position. He can play position. He averages some, in the high 90s in his pitching. He's a fast runner. He can steal bases and he can hit home runs. And he's up to like 13 or 14, I think, in this season. I mean, he is phenomenal. He is the phenom. He is the Japanese sensation right now, and got to give props to him. But I think this will be good for us to try and I think if we can follow once NPB is in full. I think NPB is going on right now. I think based on that Yokohama stats that I was looking up, but might be interesting to see who's going to be the next big Japanese star that might post.
Oh yeah, let's talk about another thing about NPB. There's gaijin limits.
Oh yeah, they only get 3 on the roster.
Try limiting someone by race over here. See how that rolls over.
Yeah, I wonder if it wouldn't roll right.
It's like it's like that's something else that people don't understand. There's some, I know, let's be honest, there's still some deep-seated racism going on in Japan.
What's the other word for it? Not prejudice.
Yeah.
There's still some prejudice going on. Well, like, for example, well,
another way
eventually when we get around to talking about sumo,
oh yeah,
they only allow one foreigner per stable, and for people who don't know what sumo, we'll get around to that at some point.
What's the next basho?
So the next basho will be the next tournament, basho as it's called, will be in July, and it will be held in Nagoya.
And that's just called the Nagoya Basho, right?
It's called the Nagoya Basho. It'll be held at Dolphin Arena. That's what it's called. So anyway,
what's there normally?
Probably it might be close to Nagoya Dome, but don't quote me on that.
That's just
let me hold on.
For a place that's considering the sport of sumo, that just sounds like a bizarre venue to be holding up. Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium. Okay, that makes more sense. Also known as Dolphins Arena. Home arena of the Nagoya acquired of the B League. What's the B League again?
I gotta imagine that the B League is probably. Oh, it's a professional men's basketball league that began in Japan in September 2016. The league is operated by the Japan Professional Basketball League. It was formed as a result of the merger between the NBL that was operated by FIBA. So it looks like they have a professional basketball league over there.
Yeah.
Not great, but it is what it is.
Considering Slam Dunk, I'm surprised that it took that long.
Yeah, Slam Dunk, that was the real big basketball anime, and I think
that promoted basketball in Japan. That heavily promoted basketball in Japan.
Yeah, it did. I think, and then you'll see other.
For those of you who don't know, Slam Dunk was an anime that went.
It was a manga.
No, it was a manga that became an anime, as so many manga do. And it was about basketball in Japan.
And it was. I remember when we first went over there, it was like in the prime
It was in the prime, yeah.
It was we went there at the height of that series.
Yeah, that was part of our introduction to
anime. It was a good one too.
Yeah, it was
our introduction to Japanese face faults, as they call it, which is the funny faces.
Yeah.
That
we watched watered down Sailor Moon dub, but that was like nothing.
That was nothing. Yeah, the face faults and Slam Dunk are Sailor Moon doesn't have anything on Slam Dunk when it comes to face faults. I mean, it doesn't. Anyway, all right, Matt. Let's get into the main event of our podcast. Everyone, the moment you've been waiting for. I'm gonna kind of pull up the screen. So Matthew, I am gonna kind of I'm hoping, and I'm actually gonna just to keep us from getting not copywritten and stuff. I'm gonna not screen shares, but I just want to make sure you read it, right?
Yep.
So okay, so what I'll pull it up and we'll kind of just go. I'll just kind of go through the page, not necessarily go through all the pages, but one of the first things that the short story that they got going on in the beginning. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Germa 66.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, chapter 1052 of One Piece premiered today in the United States, and we're right at the end of the Wano arc. Matthew, make sure that when you're going to upload this to YouTube, we need to make sure that in the title you need to put spoilers included. So everyone, we're giving you about 5 seconds. If you don't want to be spoiled by One Piece, we're just giving you that warning right now. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we are going into spoilers. So Matthew, chapter 1052 of One Piece, Germa 66 short story that was going on. It looks like Reiju, and I can't remember which brother this is, but they've run into Caesar Clown, of all people. So Matthew, could we be seeing Caesar Clown joining the Germa? Wouldn't that be something?
Stranger things have happened in
One Piece? Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. I mean, who would have thought that Crocodile and Luffy would be fighting together?
Yeah, after the first time, after they concluded their fight. Yeah, after they concluded their fight the first time.
Yeah, because they were literally trying to kill each other, and then here they are after they've fought blood, trying to kill each other. They're fighting together to break out of Impel Down.
Mm-hmm.
So stranger things have happened.
And what's really been interesting is about the fact that Luffy's fruit, at least officially out in the world, it's the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which is the rubber fruit, but it's actually the human fruit model,
or as the English 4Kids dub called it, the gum fruit, and I think the Funimation dub
actually I think
it the gum fruit.
Yeah, actually I think you're right. I think they did stick with that. But now it's at least according to the Gorosei, it's actually the human fruit model Nika,
aka the sun god,
which is it's like, okay, so this thing is really
who went out there and put it all on the line and defeated the strongest creature in the world.
And so I gotta imagine this had to be Joy Boy's fruit original. It had to be.
I think if there was a historical Nika, he had that fruit. If there was someone who was based off of it might have been Joy Boy. He was based off, the legend evolves from the user of that fruit.
Yeah.
I think is the fruit inspired the legend.
So Gorosei are panicking because now it's like,
Oh,
Kaido,
no!
two emperors of the sea are down, and so they're and I like how one of the Gorosei is saying we can't cover this one up, so it's gonna really be out there. They're trying to get CP0 to capture Nico Robin, but it's looking like it's the agent from CP0 is in a really tight spot, and no telling if he's going to succeed at getting Robin. But I'll tell you what, if they were to somehow get Robin, then there's really going to be war. I think though, I think Robin is definitely going to play a central theme in this, because I think not only is the world government after Nico Robin, but I know how I remember quite a few chapters back that the Blackbeard pirates were mobilizing. I think they're going to go after Nico Robin as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how Nico Robin's ability, it's like her knowledge and her ability to translate the poneglyphs is making her this coveted asset. Mm-hmm. And I think we've talked, you and I have talked privately about Blackbeard, and there's been a lot of talk as well about how Blackbeard inherited will in One Piece is this really strong thing. And we know that most likely the inheritor of Gold D. Rogers' will is Luffy, but
right.
He might have also inherited the will of a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
right.
we also but inherited will can also go the other way. So it's very possible that the inheritor of Rox D. Zebek's will is probably Blackbeard.
Yeah, I think a lot of I remember a lot of people saying that it probably is Blackbeard that inherited Zebek's will, and I think Whitebeard, when he was killed in action, I think he recognized that Blackbeard definitely did not inherit Rogers.
Well, yeah, but I wonder if while it wasn't verbalized in his last moments, he maybe wondered, "Oh my gosh, you remind me of Rox, my former captain."
Maybe.
And that's another thing that to me is still kind of an anomaly, because Whitebeard was not one of the. It's like if you look at several of the pirates, you think of brutality. You think of Blackbeard, you think of brutality. You think of Kaido, you think of brutality. You think of Big Mom, you think of brutality. You think of Kid, you think of brutality. When you think of pirates on average, you think of brutality in the One Piece world, which is kind of reflective of piracy in the real world. But Whitebeard sticks out among the various members of the Rocks Pirates, because he didn't have this brutality, let the world burn mentality. He had this, I want a family mentality.
Well, and he more so or less joined the Rocks Pirates because he was looking for the payday.
Oh yeah,
because as you know,
because he would send that money. He would send the money.
Right, he was financially
his.
Right, he was financially supporting his home island. Even after he became, Whitebeard, the Yonko, the Emperor.
He never forgot his roots. Essentially,
right.
It's like for as big as the man was, he was always in reality. Sorry, and in even some ways in which he even some ways in which he kind of made this facade of being this like big old bad boy, like that time when he was talking with Shanks and saying, "You're about 100 years too young to be talking to me, boy." But it's like, even for all of that, the reality was he was a humble man. He who always remembered his roots and always remembered where he came from and always wanted to support that. And like, for example, when he declared Fishman Island as part of his territory, he was like, I don't want to see these people suffer anymore. I have pull, so I'm going to make sure these people are no longer suffering. And he got the gratitude of King Neptune and Jinbe. Jinbe was willing to fight and die for him as a result. He was just like, oh my, it's like, you did something I can never repay you for. So it's only fair that I be willing to fight for your honor. As when he had that, how many day scrap with Ace? How many days did he go with him?
Whitebeard or Blackbeard?
Jinbe.
Oh, Jinbei?
Because
I forget.
He fought Jinbe before he fought Whitebeard, which didn't end well because he was already tired.
Right. It's been a while since I've referred back to that episode.
But that's another example.
Chapter.
Is that, you know, he took the son of his greatest rival in.
Yeah, a lot of these fights will go quite a few days. Like if you remember the fight between Akainu and Aokiji.
3 days, was it?
I think it went on for like a week or something.
Oh, yeah. And it permanently changed.
A week or like 10 days. Yeah, and it changed the landscape of Punk Hazard.
And the result was Sakazuki became the admiral.
The fleet admiral.
The fleet admiral.
Yeah. But that's going to be another story to talk about when we get there.
And Akaokiji resigned from the Marines.
Yeah. So if we continue,
that in and of itself is very interesting because, you know, Sakazuki is this absolute justice, all or nothing. You're either in it or you're not. You're fighting for the honor of the world of the Marines, or you're not. But here is this guy who's like, I don't agree with you being the admiral. I'm gonna fight you. And he beats him. He literally has his life in his hands, and he spares him. It's like, why? There's only two possible things I could think of, because I don't know if you've seen those theories, but some theories that have been brought up is that Akoji, despite being aligned with the Blackbeard Pirates, like X-Drake, is a sword member. That's one theory. The other theory I could think of is maybe that maybe Sakazuki's mentality was, I can see where you decide the fight. This was a fight of honor for the position, and I'm okay with you having challenged me for it because it was a fight of honor. So maybe it's, or there might be some reason that we don't know. There's
that's true.
Several,
very true.
But those are my top two theories. It's either he's part of Sword and he's infiltrating the Blackbeard Pirates, or he just thought, you know, it was a duel of honor. I don't hold anything personal against you.
So we'll continue on with the chapter here, but looks like we see in another panel, the kids are going to get re-educated on who Kozuki Oden was, which means that they're going to recognize him for the hero that he actually was. People are learning that Komurasaki, who was the courtesan, was actually
Kozuki.
Gosh, really forgetting this stuff. But yeah, Kozuki Hiyori. among some other things going on here. So this one's kind of interesting because page 8. So there you got Kawamatsu, you got Kinemon talking about building shrines and stuff, and then you see that the weapons are laid down for Ashura and Izo, almost as if they passed away. And it's like, have they? Or what's going on with that? Kind of hard to say.
We've talked about the malleability of death in the One Piece. It's like very few people have died in the present in One Piece. Who's the guy? Pell survives a bomb.
Yeah, he was the one who set the
bomb.
He was the one who set the example of the malleability of death in One Piece, because normally he took
a giant bomb.
But again, this is the fiction. This is the fiction of it all. But the fact is that yes, the standard was set.
We're talking about essentially superhumans in One Piece. Let's be honest, because
considering that some humans are can be anywhere from 10 to 20 feet tall.
Yeah, humans, not giants. Humans. Like for example, Zoro took a giant sword from where your heart is down here, blood spattering all over the place, falls into the ocean, and survives.
So I'm looking at the wiki.
Here.
I am looking at the wiki for One Piece, and at least according to the wiki, now this can always be subject to changing, but it's saying in the wiki that Izo and Ashura are dead. So
for the time being,
and they're going to be buried beside Shimotsuki Yasuie. Let's see what else they've got going on here. Obviously, Hiyori kicking Momonosuke, not really getting over that, so that's interesting. Zoro and Luffy have woken up from their slumber, so the party is getting going. They're staying.
I wonder if they're ever going to talk about the fact that they both discovered
their Haoshoku, or
their ability to use Conqueror's Haki.
Well, that'll probably be, it was obviously not addressed in this chapter, but it might be addressed in the next chapter. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I still think that's how he's gonna defeat that's how Zoro is eventually gonna defeat Mihawk.
So obviously they're talking around. Obviously Yamato is still talking about wanting to go with them and stuff, which I don't know.
Luffy hasn't accepted the invite yet.
See, it's all usually when people are going to join, it's Luffy's got to invite him. Yamato's kind of inviting herself on.
There's been one time when someone invited themselves on, and that was Nico, Robin.
Right, but Luffy did exist. So we don't know what's going to happen yet as far as Yamato is concerned. I don't know. Hard to say. I mean, I'm kind of hoping Carrot can at least, represent the Mink tribe, in going on there. You got Jinbei, who's representing fishmen now. A lot of diversity when it's coming to that. But
a lot of people are pointing out, what position would Yamato have? Because we've got
that's the thing.
Yeah, because it's like, let's go through all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates. You have Luffy the captain. You have Zoro the first mate. You have
unofficially. He's never been confirmed in canon.
Let's call him the first mate.
Everybody thinks of him as the first mate.
Well, yeah, for all intents and purposes, he is the first mate. He fills that role.
But the thing is, though, Oda's never canonically confirmed as the first mate. He's considered a combatant, which has always been interesting. But hey, maybe this might change in the next chapter or two.
The reality is, for all intents and purposes, okay, for academic purposes, let's call him the first mate. Then you've got Nami the navigator, Usopp the artillery.
Yes.
I don't know what exactly you'd call the
artillery specialist or whatever. I
think the official term is master at arms.
Well, I know previously Oda has written him as the Sogekishi, which is the sniper. But I don't think that's going to really, in the roles that roles he's had to fill since then, I'm not sure if the sniper is really the correct term to give to Usopp at this time.
I'm going by maritime. So I'm going by classic maritime. By classic maritime terminology, he's master at arms. So that's for Sanji's the cook, Chopper's the doctor, Frankie's the shipwright, Brooke is the musician, which typically isn't a term, but Luffy wanted one.
Robin.
Yeah,
archaeologist.
Robin is the archaeologist, and Jinbei is the helmsman.
Yes, Jinbei is the helmsman.
Yes, he's proudly accepted the helmsman when fighting Who's Who. He was referred to as the former Shichibukai, and is like, I like the more prestigious position of helmsman of the Straw Hat Pirates.
But yeah, it's like, what role is Yamato gonna fill? Now, I've seen how there's been
I could see her fitting one role, log keeper.
Okay. I've seen the arguments about Carrot. She could fill the role for a lookout. Because she can be high.
I forget what the crow's nest position is called. There's a position for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a terminology for that. So, well, if you think about it, they could both join, and then Yamato be the log keeper and Carrot be the crow's nest position.
So, yeah, and again, it's who knows what's going to happen. To me, ever since Yamato has been introduced, I just haven't quite felt her, fulfilling a certain role. But, and a lot of people are like, well, yeah, she'll be great for the role and stuff like that. So, I don't know.
And let's also clarify something. I know Yamato has been identified as the son of Kaido, and has identified as Kozuki Oden and stuff like that. But I think officially Oda classifies Yamato as a she.
Oh, the Vivre card. The Vivre card identifies her, and that's what we're going to stick with for the time being. We won't get much into that because, it is what it is. Yeah. So I think when we get into the closing panel, though, the world government acted pretty fast because they've already got the bounties out. So, and
which we have not seen yet.
Right. And Scratchman is saying that they've named, it looks like a couple of the guys in here, in that group that beat, that beat Kaido and Big Mom. Looks like a couple of them are going to be named Emperors of the Sea. And,
the question there is, do Kid and Law co-hold that position?
Well, for a fact, Luffy is going to be one of the emperors.
He was kind of already unofficially labeled as the
as the fifth emperor.
Yeah, as the fifth emperor.
But you know for a fact, Luffy's going to be now. Are they going to continue using Yonko, or are they going to actually put Law and Kid in there too? And are they going to call it the Goko? You know, or are they going to call it another name in the Japanese translation? I'd be interested to see what that's going to do. But the fact of the matter is, it's like the power balance has been upset, and the world government has to kind of fill that void to an extent. So I think if Luffy's going to be called an emperor, you know for a fact he's going to be declaring Fishman Island. And then on top, you know, his territory. And then on top of that, you know that the Straw Hat Grand Fleet is going to be really moving around and stuff. So, and then the last thing that we see for the chapter is that Rokugyu is in Wano.
I guess he has some ability to fly.
Yeah, some weird ability.
Oh, so, this is the first time we're actually seeing Rokugyu go out,
aka Green Bull.
Yeah, go out and do something.
So it look this almost.
I forgot. Is Rokugyu one of the people that was drafted by the World Draft?
Yes.
And so he was drafted, and within 2 years of the draft, became an admiral.
Well, same with Fujitora.
Yeah. So, but
Fujitora was also drafted.
But that just goes to show how exceptional these two, and we finally get to see how exceptional.
Yeah, Rokugyu, aka Green Bull.
Yeah, Rokugyu is, because even though he seems to be a tad bit lazy.
And you know what the way that they're shaping up his entry into Wano, you know what it is reminiscent of, right?
Aokiji.
Yeah, Aokiji.
Aokiji.
Yeah, when he was riding his bicycle across the ocean. So,
yeah, but I feel like after however many days Luffy, I don't think they're gonna engage directly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Rokugyu is going to do.
I doubt he has, because Aokiji just completely decimated the Straw Hats when he went there. He could have killed everybody, but he let everyone live. So I don't think he's going. But now I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have the same chances against the Straw Hats. He would.
Well, he is an admiral. You never know.
Well, my point with Aokiji, I don't think he would be able to combat the Straw Hats the same way that he did the last time. He wouldn't whoop them. He might win, but he could only win on a one-on-one with somebody. He can only win on a one-on-one. If he's facing more than one person, he doesn't win. Especially with Sanji's fire leg. So I don't think Aokiji could decimate the Straw Hats like he did the last time. So, but and then so I don't think Aokiji is I think he's going there to see how things are. I don't think he's going to be able to make too big of an impact. He's not going to go out and decimate people, not with all the firepower of people that are there. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Like, he might be going out. Oh, no, I meant CP0's supposed to be going after Robin. So I think he's probably going out there to scout the situation. I don't think he's going to go and decimate the Straw Hats like Aokiji did.
All right, Matt. Well,
I would be surprised if that happened.
Well, we're definitely in for a big chapter next week.
Oh yeah,
That's
we did
have
the announcement that that after month layoff, in which we could talk about who knows how much stuff with One Piece. We're going
I think
into
once the Wano arc, once the Wano arc concludes, Oda's taking a month break, and then we are going to be officially in the final saga, like you mentioned, of the series. And I'm not sure how long it'll take, but Wano took.
Yeah, I'm still making a prediction. I do think it's going to be what's it called? I think it's going to be the red-haired pirates versus I think the red-haired and the straw hats are going to make an alliance, and they're going to take on the Blackbeard pirates. I'm calling that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's gonna be interesting.
When it comes to predictions, I've been wrong before, but that's my personal prediction.
Well, speaking of predictions, Matthew, Luffy's at 1.5 billion, I believe. Or was it 50? No, he's at he's at 15 billion. So, Monkey D. Luffy, your prediction for his bounty raise?
15 billion. What?
Defeated Kaido, Kaido of the Beasts.
Kaido was what?
He had the series' largest active bounty, which was 4.6 billion, or it's 4.6 billion. So actually, Luffy was 1.5 billion.
4.6, and he's always gotten larger than
I think Lin was 4 point. Lin was 4.3.
What were Whitebeard
and
Roger?
Gold Roger were both in the 5s.
I'm gonna say 5. He's not gonna be at the point of Whitebeard, but he's gonna be around there.
You think Luffy's gonna be? He's gonna get up to 5 billion.
Yeah, because he
that's more than Shanks. That's an interesting one. I don't think it's going to be that high.
Oh yeah,
but
where's Shanks in?
Shanks is, I think, straight 4 billion. 4 billion something.
Okay, then I'll say maybe just under Shanks then.
Okay, a little bit. So 4 billion flat. Okay. I don't think it'll be that big, but I think it'll double to 3. It'll be larger than Blackbeard, but it will be lower than Shanks. Obviously, I think it'll be 3 billion, but you're going to say 4 billion. Okay.
I'm also liking, because now you have Nika the Sun God versus.
Okay, I see where you're going, because they deem it an even more existential threat. The world government, because the world government never really some of the reasons why they put a high bounty, they'll list a bunch of stuff, but they'll never list the actual reason, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I was just looking at something else. With the future, now you've got Nika the Sun God Light versus Blackbeard. Darkness. It's like this is now the perfect light, dark, good, evil. Because if you look at it, in reality, Blackbeard's, it's like when he started out, he seemed kind of okay. But it's like, as time has gone on, he just kept going a darker, more evil path. Whereas Luffy has always been a good guy. He's he's always had the best of intentions with his actions. So I think that's where that's gonna go.
So, at least for the other guys, so we're running a little bit short on time, but for Kid, Law, Zoro, you think they'll all get above 1 billion? 'Cause right now, they're all not at 1 billion yet.
I'll say yes. I'm not going to make a prediction on where.
So, and then I think the last one, I think we'll predict Sanji. You think he'll make 1 billion, or he won't quite get there because he didn't really take on anyone? He did defeat Queen.
Was Queen at 1 billion?
Queen was above 1 billion.
I'm gonna say Sanji's gonna get over 1 billion.
Okay.
He beat over 1 billion guy. He should get that position.
I'll say 900. I'll say 900.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Well, we're going to be in for a big chapter next week, and we'll see how that goes. We'll try to see about some other stuff. Matthew, for this coming Saturday, any UFC or Bellator events coming your way?
Let's see. There's no Bellator. There is Professional Fighters League 4 on Friday, and then UFC on ESPN. I don't even know the numbers, but yeah, there's a UFC event on Saturday. Oh, brief review.
Last night.
Yeah. So we had Jiri Prochaska upset Glover Teixeira.
Oh,
late in the end of the 5th round to take the championship. That was a back and forth. I haven't checked if that was fight of the night. Wouldn't surprise me. Valentina Shevchenko, after 2 rounds, came back another 3 rounds to defeat Talia Santos, breaking her orbital bone in the process. And Zhang Weili retired Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Retired her, yeah. She in MMA, there's the tradition now which is similar to the wrestling tradition, but instead of putting your shoes in the octagon, you put your gloves in the octagon. I was kind of already predicting it because it's like as it was ending, she was taking her gloves off, and then they did the post-fight interview, and she said, "Yeah, I'm retiring." Took her gloves off, put them in the octagon.
All right.
Beast of a woman.
All right. Matthew, as always, we went quite long this time.
I'm going to say my fighter of the week for, this is exclusive, MMA Freak Fighter of the Week because, we do a lot of tradition. I'm going to say MMA Fighter of the Week is going to be Jiri Prochaska for his upset win against Glover Teixeira.
All right. Yep. Well, that's going to be it for today. Matthew, where can our viewers find us on social media?
Okay, on YouTube for our visual podcast, we are on YouTube and Rumble. For our audio podcast, we're on Acast, Apple, Spotify, and Google. Specifically Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. More platforms to be announced, and the relaunch is not quite complete, so if you see any Samurai Brothers Wrestling, that's because I haven't transferred things over, but we're working on that.
All right. Matthew is also on Twitter. You can find him at Matthew Salzer. And then also he runs MMA Freak, which is the website is mma-freak.com. You can follow the Twitter for MMA Freak. It's called at MMA Freakout. So make sure you give him a follow there. And we're hoping that we could get the podcast onto Twitter as well very soon. And we're having a lot of stuff planned, a lot of things coming up as we're transitioning and just trying to provide some fun commentary and stuff, and just talking about things that we like, Japanese, combat related, all sorts of stuff. So, thank you to those who are following us. So Matthew, again, thanks as always for your insightful commentary, and to all our viewers. We hope to see you again. So take care and have a great week.